You're listening to Procurement 6, the weekly podcast from the team at Art of Procurement that summarizes this week in procurement in just 6 short segments.
Hi there, I'm Philip Eitzen, and today is Friday, March 31st, 2023.
6.
Well, here we are, we're at the end of Q1 already. I'm sure a number of you have been working on finalising deals that your suppliers, sales reps say must be completed by March 31st to secure a certain discount or achieve some added benefits. Here at Art of Procurement, we've been doing the same with tools that we believe will help us to take our webinars and events to the next level. So more to come on that later in due course. However, today's tip of the week is really just a reminder that everything's negotiable and those offers on the table will most likely not disappear on April the 1st.
5.
Facilitating differentiated decision-making is one of the core components of our vision to 10x the impact of procurement. And so this week on the podcast, we ran a special 4-part series of 10-minute podcasts in partnership with the team at Cievo to dig into this topic. Across the 4 parts, we discussed creating a procurement information hub, ESG analytics, talent and human decision-making, and crossing the data to action gap. In the last episode of the series, I asked summaries, Cievo's co-founder and CEO, is automated decision-making going to replace procurement professionals?
That's the question we always ask ourselves, isn't it? The short answer is no. I think sort of automated decision-making will be very different from human-based decision-making. It has different features. First of all, it's much more effective. A lazy person like me, I can do 1 decision per day, and it's a good day when I've made a decision.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, if I can automate decision making, that'll give us, let's say, 1 million decisions per day. So just the sort of time frame in which the decisions can be made is totally different. And also the flip side of that is, of course, the cost of decision making is completely different. So a human decision making will cost hundreds of euros per decision, whereas an automated decision making comes with a very, very small fraction of the cost. Which actually means that, in some cases we are replacing human decision making because whatever can be automated will be automated. But even more so, we will expand the scope of decision making to what I call a long tail of procurement decisions. It's those decisions that currently are not made at all because the value versus cost sort of equation is not there. Companies have tried to solve this by, let's say, offshoring or outsourcing these sort of kind of decisions. But I do see that as we get more automated decision making, we will further expand this scope and, of course, replace outsourced offshore decision making centers with that. So I really see it's a lot of boring decisions that provide perhaps very small added value, but as the cost is close to zero, it still makes sense to kind of make those decisions.
You can listen to all 4 episodes at artofprocurement.com/decision series.
4.
Why do companies more readily invest in sales training over procurement training? Was a question posed on LinkedIn this week that I couldn't help but provide an opinion on. And actually, you could take this further, investing just in sales generally versus investing in procurement. So my thoughts are that most C-suite executives value and therefore invest in revenue and growth rather than cost management. Most of our core offerings are about risk management, so managing costs and getting things where they need to be on time. And in many organizations, doing that only has perceived value in the same way that revenue growth does when they are gone. So i.e., when our ability to sell or deliver has gone because we can't get the parts or the services that we need, or when expenses are rising higher than revenue, negating their effect. This isn't to say that what we do isn't incredibly valuable, but until the perception and the outcome gap is closed, there's always going to be less discretionary budget for procurement than for sales and marketing. So does that mean we should be repositioning what we do towards our impact on revenue and growth? Or is the fact that our natural place in an organization is a manager of risk? I'd love to know your thoughts via the usual channels.
This is Procurement 6 from Art of Procurement. To get notified every time an episode is published, go to artofprocurement.com/subscribe. 3.
As we often talk about, the procurement industry is rapidly evolving with a vast array of technological solutions aimed at streamlining processes within organizations. Now, to help procurement leaders navigate some of these changes, Procurability has written a bold procurement predictions for 2030 insight series that I came across this week. There's some interesting new thoughts in this series, and one was around crowdsourcing. The report cited a research paper that suggests that if 1 million individuals were to contribute towards answering a problem via crowdsourcing, there will be a 97.7% likelihood the crowd would arrive at the correct answer. So what could that mean for procurement, or frankly, any professional services profession? Well, it could lead to a platform where a company asks for strategic advice based on a real-world problem, and the recommendation is, or the answer to that kind of strategy question is crowdsourced and aggregated from a minimum number, and let's say 50 as an example, of vetted experts on the platform. So then you have a recommendation again from a material number of experts onto how to go about solving for a problem or to answer a strategy question. It's really interesting to kind of think about how this could play out over the next 10 years or so. Now, to read all 5 predictions, we've included a link to the article at the show notes page of this podcast, which is at artofprocurement.com/podcasts.
2.
There is growing evidence that many companies are diversifying their sourcing strategies away from China to mitigate against potential geopolitical risks in the area. A Financial Times article this week that I came across titled, "China's Richest County Suffers Export Slump as US Tensions Hits Factories." The article suggests that Taiwanese manufacturers in the county of Kunshan are cutting staff and wages and pushing orders abroad over geopolitical risk. Wages are down 25%, and the county expected $1.1 billion in foreign investment this year, which is a drop from $1.7 billion in 2022. The evidence suggests that the foreign investment is largely being diverted away from China to other Southeast Asian countries, such as Vietnam.
1.
We currently have 3 scheduled AOP webinars over the course of April that are all available right now for registration. On April the 11th, we'll be welcoming guests from KPMG and Ivalua to our Financial Services Industry Deep Dive webinar called Prioritizing Cost Reduction and Third-Party Risk Management in Financial Services. On April 19th, we'll be partnering with the Zip to explore procurement strategy in a post-spend under management world. As someone who's long been skeptical about the spend under management metric, I'm really looking forward to this conversation. And then finally, on April 25th, Kelly and I will be joined by guests from SAP in an AOP Live titled From C-Suite Priority to Procurement Strategy, Managing Risk at Scale. Now you can register for any and all of these events by visiting artofprocurement.com/calendar.
Thanks for listening. We'll be back next Friday at 6 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time. If you've enjoyed this pod, help us grow and tell your peers to search for Procurement 6 wherever they get their podcasts.